I loved your mother.
Let's cut straight to the monsters you'll actually fight 80% of the time in The Witcher. No fancy one-off bosses here. These are the beasts that jump you when you're looting a chest, ambush you on the way to a quest, and make you swear you'll never travel without a full stock of silver swords and swallow potions. But here's the kicker, every single one of these core monsters, they're pulled straight from the dark corners of Slavic, Eastern European, and even Celtic folklore. Let's break down the real myths behind drowners, lichens, ghouls, and more, because once you know their origins, every fight feels like you're going up against a piece of history. First up, drowners and water hags, nature's way of saying stay out of the swamp. You know drowners, those pale waterlogged zombies that shuffle out of rivers and bogs, their clothes rotting, their hands clawed, ready to drag you into the murk. In The Witcher, they're usually folks who drowned thanks to war, accident, or water hag's trickery and came back wrong hungry for living flesh. Sound familiar? That's basically the Slavic rusalka, cranked up to 11. Rusalki, plural for rusalka, were mythical water nymphs, beautiful, mournful spirits of young women who died by drowning, usually from heartbreak or murder. They'd sit on riverbanks, brushing their long hair, and sing haunting songs that lured men into the water to drown. Unlike drowners, rusalki were often depicted as beautiful, not rotting, but the core idea is the same: watery graves, mournful spirits, and a deadly hatred for the living. And water hags, those cackling, hunchbacked witches who live in swamp huts and poison wells, they're straight out of Slavic Baba Yaga, adjacent myths, old, cunning female spirits who ruled over wetlands and tested travelers. In some tales, these hags would offer help in exchange for a steep price, like your firstborn child, while in others, they'd just poison your crops or kidnap your livestock for fun. The Witcher's water hags keep that trickery alive. Remember the one in Velen who pretends to be a helpless old woman, then tries to bite your face off? That's classic folklore, a monster hiding in plain sight, using your kindness against you. Drowners and water hags aren't just swamp nuisances. They're the old world's warning. The water is dangerous, and the dead don't always stay buried. Next, Leshens and Spriggans, when the forest decides to fight back. If you've ever wandered through the Witcher's woods and felt like the trees were watching you, that's the Leshens doing. Tall, gnarled, with antlers made of twisted branches and a face that's just a shadowy void, Leshens are the guardians of the forest. Cruel, unforgiving, and obsessed with protecting their territory. They control wolves, crows, even vines, and they'll hunt you down if you cut down their trees or trespass on their land. This is directly inspired by the Slavic Leshy, a forest spirit who's both protector and trickster. Leshy were said to be tall and thin, with hair made of leaves, antlers like a deer, and the ability to shapeshift into animals or even trees. They'd lead travelers astray, making them walk in circles for hours or punish poachers by driving their horses mad. But here's the twist. Leshy weren't always evil. If you respected the forest, left offerings of bread or honey, they'd leave you alone. The Witcher's Leshen cuts out the nice part, but keeps the core fear. Nature isn't just something to explore, it's a force that can fight back. And Spriggans? Those tiny, fast-moving tree monsters that explode when you get too close. They're a nod to Celtic and Germanic forest spirits, like the Irish Spriggan, hence the name, or the German Waldgeist. These were small, mischievous spirits that guarded trees and rocks. And while they weren't as deadly as Leshens, they'd play cruel tricks, hiding your tools, making you trip over roots or setting fire to your camp. The Witcher's Spriggans turn that mischief into mayhem, but the idea is the same. The forest is full of tiny, angry guardians who don't want you there. Together, Leshens and Spriggans tap into a primal fear, one that ancient humans felt every time they stepped into the woods after dark, the fear that the wilderness isn't empty. It's alive. And it's angry. Finally, ghouls and neckers, graves and caves never looked so scary. Ghouls in The Witcher are exactly what they sound like, decomposing corpses that dig their way out of graves to feast on dead flesh and sometimes living flesh if they're hungry enough. They're slow, but tough, and they usually hunt in packs near cemeteries or battlefields. This is straight out of Eastern European ghoul myths, creatures that haunted graveyards, digging up bodies to eat. In some tales, ghouls were once humans who'd committed terrible sins, like grave robbing themselves, cursed to spend eternity feeding on the dead. The Witcher's ghouls keep that grave robbing vibe. Remember finding them digging through tombstones in Novigrad? That's folklore come to life. The only difference? In myths, ghouls were usually solitary. The Witcher makes them pack hunters.